That's a lot of damage!
Dragon Ball Z. There's literally no way you haven't heard of this anime before in your life. Regardless of whether you are a fan of the series or not, you know of it and its immense popularity. It also sometimes overshadows the original Dragon Ball by a good amount of fans, to the point where some people don't even bother watching that one. Even though, you know, it started everything and is still relevant to the entire plot of Dragon Ball. With a series as massive as Dragon Ball, it has gotten plenty upon plenty of retellings through lots of media, including movies and today's topic, video games, and goodness are there a lot to sift through. Years upon years and series upon series have been made for this anime, but I'll have to get through them one at a time, starting with the game we're looking at today, Dragon Ball Z.
Hold it. You don't expect to be the only one who's played Dragon Ball games, do you?
Hey, Shaddick. How did you get here?
Instant transmission.
Okay, that's 3 people that mysteriously appeared in one of my videos.
Who's the other 2?
That's not important. So, I'm assuming you want to talk about a Dragon Ball game?
Yeah, so which one are we going to be talking about? One of the Budokais, Raging Blast, the Tenkaichis?
Sagas.
Cavern, do you actually hate yourself?
I ask myself that a lot.
Well, maybe the pain of this game won't be as bad when there's 2 people involved.
Whatever helps you sleep at night. So, unexpectedly, I guess me and Shadicstick will both be looking at Dragon Ball Z Sagas, a rather famous Dragon Ball game.
I believe infamous is the correct term.
The game goes through 7 sagas leading from the Saiyan Saga up to the Cell Saga. You mainly play the really major events of Dragon Ball Z that fans 100% will know, and everything in between those moments are glossed over pretty quickly in cutscenes. They also explain the backstory of Goku in a very general sense, as explaining everything that happens before Z would take a long time. I don't mind that they gloss over that much, since this game is about Z and less about the original Dragon Ball.
Aside from them rushing over some events, there's not much else that can be said about the story. It's been told time and time again across plenty of games, and taking the safe route where it retells famous moments from this series isn't always a problem, but it's what you would expect from a Dragon Ball game, especially if you're familiar with the Dragon Ball series. I do wish not so many Dragon Ball games did this though, as it gets really boring at some point when you play a lot of them.
I can agree there. There does need to be some diversity between the games, but that's more of a fault of the collection of Dragon Ball games than just this game itself.
The beginning of the levels have their own title cards, which is a nice thing to look at even though it's only for a brief moment. Cutscenes are a series of animations from the shows. This could be seen as lazy, but it helps give a little bit of an idea about the events that are blazed over and are pretty cool to see, especially with the narrator talking over it. However, almost all of these cutscenes cut out the dialogue from the show for some reason, so the narrator narrates over 2 to 4 minutes of anime sounds and grunts from the respective characters. It's just weird.
I also have to worry about anime being on screen because doing anime content is fun and has no copyright problems at all. Seriously, I've heard too many stories about people who do anime content and it's so bad. Anyways, all voice actors in this game are the same from the show, including the narrator, which is always a nice thing to have. I think just about every Dragon Ball game that has voice acting in it has their original voice actors, or at the very least most of the characters do. The actual game, however, looks worse than most of the Budokai games released between a few years to a few months before Sagas, and worse than the Budokai Tenkaichi games only a few months to a few years after. Even the arcade game Super Dragon Ball Z looks better than this. The only game that looks even close to this game is Budokai 1, which released 3 years before Sagas, and even then some aspects about that game were better than this one. Now, you could say that it's the stylistic choice that is the problem, but again, it only looks as good as the game 3 years before it. That is not a good thing, especially when you have a bunch of other Dragon Ball games to look at. It just pales in comparison to them.
Music does not loop properly in this game at all. There's always a tiny gap of silence before the song repeats itself, and it's not like this is intentional. Every song is like this, and when you notice it, it's quite distracting. Every song of the game is used everywhere, by the way. Combat, fighting general enemies, bosses, and even the cutscenes all share the same soundtracks. You'll end up getting tired of the entire soundtrack within the first 2 levels. No songs feel like they have any significance and are just used to be filler tracks, which shouldn't be the case for the whole soundtrack. It also doesn't help that a lot of it sounds like music for a training montage, which only works for a few levels in the game that are actually that.
Sound effects like key attacks and characters shouting don't sound good either, as they often overlap each other, so you'll hear multiple voice lines at the same time. The shouting doesn't get cut off when a new shout is made, and voice lines don't have complete priority over shouting, so everything plays at the same time, and it's very annoying to hear this, especially with how often it can happen. Most levels in the game give you 2 characters to play as if you're in multiplayer. In single player, it's just 1 person. Regardless of the circumstance, you go through various areas of Earth and Namek. When beginning the level, you will be given a screen telling you what you'll be doing, and as you proceed, you'll be given updates about your progress from various characters. It's usually Bulma that does this though.
Plenty of enemies stand in your way, so you'll have to fight them. I mean, it's Dragon Ball. What else are you gonna do? You can combo by using a variety of punches and kicks, and there's also key blasts to try to hit enemies that are far away. This does cost a meter to use though, so to keep you from running out, you can charge your ki. By locking onto an enemy, you can dodge away from that enemy or dash closer to them to try and attack them. You can also block attacks and ki blasts, which cost ki for some unknown reason.
Flying around areas is possible, though you can't raise and lower your altitude properly, for some reason. Dropping around levels are pickups that you can get. One of them is a currency for this game called Z coins. No, I'm not joking, that is actually what they're called. By collecting these and going to Z stations, yes, that's what they're called too, you can exchange them for skill upgrades, even though the in-game message says team upgrades. I guess that's if you're playing multiplayer, but I didn't, so it's just weird. These upgrades can be different combos that I'm not even going to try to pronounce, unique attacks and techniques like a throw, quick recovery, and teleportation. I know that is instant transmission for those of you who want to get super technical, but the game calls it teleportation, so I'm calling it that. There's also special moves, which are basically anything that resembles a Kamehameha, or Kamehameha wave, and status effects like flight speed, key charge rate, and the dragon radar showing enemy.
Another pickup is the oh-so-famous Sensu beams. They give you extra lives, but you can only carry 3 at a time for some reason. I guess there needs to be some limit, otherwise this game would be really easy. The last pickup are 2 types of capsules. Red capsules give you health and yellow capsules give you back ki. Collecting 10 of either of these increases the meter for whichever one you completed. At some point, you get the ability to go Super Saiyan or Super Namekian depending on the character you are. Doing this allows you to be stronger and faster for as long as the meter you've built up lasts.
At the end of each level, you are given a stat sheet on items you collected in the level, the enemies and objects destroyed, and your ratio of melee to ki attacks. Oh, also, bosses have their power level revealed. Why do I feel like that doesn't matter here?
Because it doesn't, especially when it comes to this game.
There's an option for teamfire that you can activate so you can fight the person you're playing with, if you are doing that, but if you're not, then this means nothing to you.
The game is also pretty short, only being a few hours long, and trust us, for the sake of the player, that is a very good thing. This game feels really clunky. Locking on the enemies is counterproductive since it locks on the enemies in a set order instead of the direction you're facing at the time. The camera is trashed mainly because the levels are on a linear rail, so the camera is just facing the same way almost all of the time. For some areas, the camera is super far back, making it harder to see enemies around you. Also, since I'm not able to move the camera around, some enemies will be off-screen able to do whatever they want, and they'll want to use projectiles since almost every enemy in this game has a projectile attack. The frame rate is also trash adding into this. I played this game on a Wii, which is stronger than the system it was originally launched on, and I still had issues.
I played this game on my dead console, so I didn't have as bad of a problem with the frame rate. There were still other problems that both of us dealt with though. For instance, the teleportation skill is what is used to counter the whole projectile spam issue, and it would be broken if it wasn't absolutely needed given how many enemies just spam projectiles if you're too far away. And when there are a lot of enemies on screen, it's almost impossible to deal with them without this ability. Not having this basically makes every mission a suicide mission. However, teleporting also doesn't work if an enemy is off screen, and given how the lock-on works like mentioned earlier with the fact that you can't move the camera, this could result in you taking longer to take down enemies, which is a very key issue later on. Due to the projectile spam, the only way that I beat bosses, which by the way spam projectiles as well, is by doing one method: teleport, do a combo, Kamehameha. Teleport, do a combo, Masenko. Teleport, do a combo, Gallic Gun. Teleport, do a combo, Burning Attack. Teleport, do a combo, Special Beam Cannon. It's the same for almost every boss in the game.
However, you could just beat the game without finishing a single combo, as the enemy will more than likely be stuck in hit stun so long that you can start a new combo before they do anything. Both of these methods are boring and repetitive, while any other method just straight up doesn't work. Unfortunately, these take longer than they should to kill bosses as well, and for generic enemies that are far away, most of them die to a single special move.
The worst level that combines almost all of these elements is the androids. The design of this level is atrocious. Everything we've mentioned before is already a factor, but now you have to protect several buildings from being destroyed. These buildings can only take 3 hits of damage before being destroyed, and if any one of them gets destroyed, you have to redo the entire level. Remember how teleporting doesn't work if an enemy is off screen, so you can't see what the enemies are doing? Remember how almost every enemy has a projectile that they can use across the map? Remember how a bunch of enemies can be in the game at once? And remember how clunky this game is? I surely do. And I wish I didn't. I ended up spending half an hour on this level because of how it's designed on top of everything else being trash.
Cavern didn't experience this, probably because he was playing on his dust collector, I don't know, but I got a glitch where I turned invisible, and each time I would have to restart the level I was on so I could try again, which adds to the annoyance of everything since all previous effort of me having to deal with the boring and clunky playstyle meant nothing.
For any boss fights where canonically there's only one person fighting, only one character is playable. However, in multiplayer, each player is given a timer for how long they play as that character before it switches to the other. This idea is really stupid. I would very much prefer just having 2 copies of the same character but give them different colors. This is only a multiplayer thing and I wasn't able to experience this anyways, so if you don't play this game with anyone you're good, but otherwise, don't bother playing this game with friends.
Doing transformations is a pain. You have to have full key and fill up the bar using combos, which usually takes about 2 to 3 minutes, and then charge up for about 5 seconds just to get a 30-second transformation. If even that, you're faster as well as get increased damage, so there's that, but it's just really annoying to use.
There is no reason to play this game. It is clunky, counterintuitive, and boring for a good amount of the time, if not rage-inducing. Everything that is done in this game is poorly executed in comparison to games before and after it. The audio is trash, the look is trash, and the gameplay is trash. Most other Dragon Ball games at least have something else to offer, but this has nothing that carries it over them, and that's what makes it so infamous.
To be honest, the only thing that is good in this game is the story, but if you're looking for the story, play any other Dragon Ball game. You have your Budokais, your Raging Blast, your Tenkaichis, or you could even just watch the show, as that is 100 times more of a better experience than going through this game. Well, thanks Cavern for making me experience this terrible game again.
No problem. Besides, I'm practically known for it at this point. I've played too many really bad games already. I haven't even been doing this series for a year.
Do you actually plan on not putting your friends to these bad games?
Well, people probably wouldn't click on the video then, would they?
Fair point. I can't argue against that.
But regardless, thanks for helping me out with this video.
Sure, whatever. Just next time don't have me play a bad game.
I think you're forgetting the type of games I review. What's going on, my fellow residents? It's me, TheFrozenCavern, and thank you guys for making it to the end of this video. I finally managed to do another collab with someone, and I've actually known this person for a good long while. And if I'm correct, this is like the first collab that we've done, or at least on my channel anyways, where it's just me and him doing a video. And of course, if you guys don't know who Shadicstick is, make sure you go over to his channel, which I will be leaving in the description, as well as putting it in the outro of this video. Shadicstick covers a variety of topics, mainly covering anything Nintendo and a little bit of PlayStation as well, but he's mainly gone over things like Sonic, Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy, and Super Smash Bros. Occasionally he'll also talk about other video games, but those are just the major things that he does. So again, if you enjoyed him in this video, make sure you go over to his channel and check him out. And since you are probably already in the description, make sure you check out my social medias as well, as those are all ways of keeping up to date with my channel in terms of videos, updates, and whatever else have you. And by the way, I do want to do more anime games. Dragon Ball was like the easiest thing to just ease into because it's Dragon Ball, everyone knows about that. But at some point, I will more than likely veer off into other anime games as well. More than likely One Piece and Naruto, because those are also pretty famous in terms of license-based video games. But just keep an eye out for those if you guys are interested in that as well. But if you enjoyed, don't forget to like and subscribe for more, as well as share this video out with your friends and family. And once again, make sure you go over to Shadic's channel, which is in the description and at the outro of this video. But until the next video, take care.